What's up, y'all, in this land of the free? Y'all doing what y'all supposed to do? Y'all ain't supposed to sit around the house and don't do nothing. You gotta enjoy the sunlight. I'm in the shade. It's a little hot out here, man. I'm gonna tell you something. It make you go out there and change your life. You come outside, you start to see what the sun can bring, the peace, the love, and the kindness, and it bring the damn heat, man. I'm just being real. People like, well, why she talk like that? Because I'm being me. I don't got time to tell y'all no glory story. I've had it hard too, but I won because I'm not giving up, because when you give up, you give your power away. Yep, you do. And then people think, well, you're not traffic enough and you're not good enough. I don't care if you think I'm good or not. I'm still doing good because I love on me. I believe in, justice and judgment comes when everybody stick together and stop bullcrapping ourselves. We out in these streets telling ourselves a bunch of, well, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It is, but you got to change your mindset. See, the people around here fighting over, I just see somebody arguing over dumb stuff, in their car passing by. How are you going to be mean to the one you love? You say you love. That's what gets me. But then you mean. You obnoxious. You act like you hate a person. That's why I be looking at people like, you say you love somebody, then why don't you act like it? When you love somebody, you gonna act like it. You're gonna treat them with special. And some of you mamas and daddies, you try so hard. But some of you, you can't please everybody. I love on my kids, the ones that stood up, that fool with me. The rest of them, they like to be themselves. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But, I always say this, I know when somebody done disown me and sell me out, I'm not tripping. It ain't nothing but a word. The streets ain't nothing, I learned that there's a higher power that's going to love me regardless. So when you start loving on you, that's what you got to do. Even when you're going through stuff with your situation in your home life and everybody think you got to be millions and you got to be rich. Sometimes riches can put an early grave for you too, because people think you're so rich they want it, and they don't want to work for it, baby. They will come and they will try you. They will try you, and you ain't ready for it. They're going to catch you slipping, because that's what they try to do, But you got to believe in yourself. Step up out there, y'all. Young folk, love yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. Stop letting everybody else rule you and tell you what you did wrong. But nobody tell what they do wrong, and sometimes people use that against you, your story. But your story is the truth, and it's your power. Because technically, if you didn't go through all that, what you did back growing up, you would have just jumped down everybody's neck. But you see, it's useless. Why jump down people's neck? Either they love you, either they don't. That's a choice. And ain't nobody making nobody love somebody. Sometimes hate, it's not you. It's the demons in you that you have. Some people have them in their body and they run around with a lot of hate, and that's how they fuel. They got to have something about you that you hate about thyself. In other words, demons dwell on what you hate about you. And if you're weak in the mind, if somebody says, oh, you ugly, you ugly, you not ugly, you beautiful, then you need to say, I'm beautiful than a mother effer, because that's what it is. You just worried about my beauty, then you think I look good. And I thank you for it. Don't be mad, and don't be mad. It's just like people say, oh, you live in the hood and you broke. But I might be, but see, that didn't mean broken. See, that's the difference. Some people can be rich, be successful, and they're broken because they don't know the cutoffs of being fair. Sometimes riches make your mind think you're superior than everybody. See, me, I ain't trying to be no superior person. I'm just trying to tell y'all young folk, you can live it, you can learn from it, or you can stay, working hard and feel like you ain't getting nowhere, because technically you ain't, because you ain't forgiven. You're not forgiving your past. Your past can defeat you sometimes if you don't heal it. So when people come up to you and say, you know what you did back in the day? You was this way. Go ahead. Because the real thing about me is, at least one thing, I'm showing up and I'm giving you that smile anyway. The greatest thing is to know, technically if the world had their way, they say everybody mental so they can steal your money, their inheritance or trust funds. They'll say you crazy anyway. Remember that. People do that allegedly. They'll call you mental because you basically stand up for yourself. What I was seeing, there's some people that are getting, and I don't understand now. Check this out. They're saying these Christians and some of them getting all allegedly with the bullets, using bullets and all, and they're doing cruel things to Christians in this one African country. But check it out. But they always saying that they make tragedy to make a reaction. And people, we got to be strong with it, especially black people, because they going to target us because they know they need us, and they need any way to lock us up, any way to pull anything to get you locked up allegedly. First, they can get you to the mental hospital. They can put something in your sippy cup. If you're one of those people that react to that, that's an old news, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day when somebody do something like that, it's when you're not woke. But when you woke, you just looking at them like, that I know you did that, right? But then you walking around like, oh, I didn't do nothing to you. She's just talking. He's just talking. No, I'm not telling you nothing. I don't got to be around you to figure out nothing. I love on me every day. And you can keep thinking you stole from me. And on these sites, like when people try to steal my work, you ain't stole from me. You made me a better person. And I thank you for that. Because anger ain't in me. People want me to just, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to show you what she is. Back in the day, I remember time I admit my wrongs to my children because my children, they were my rock. They stood beside me when it was hard times, when it was bad. But, I'm going to tell you something. I ain't never been one of those to choose sides. But I learned a long time ago, when people love you, they're not gonna take money for you, and they're gonna stand up for you, and they're gonna go 100 with you, and we're gonna try to work it out. Sometimes the truth defeats falseness. In other words, when you being true to somebody and working with people and showing love to people,